I made a video on why men and women are attracted to different attributes. And as expected, I got some interesting comments telling their own stories and how what I said doesn't coincide with their own experiences. So in this video, I would like to go through some of them, especially one long comment, and try to explain the mismatches. And we'll see what happens. So the basis to response is this video, and I would like to recommend to watch it before we proceed with this one. To give a short breakdown, the video was about how men are attracted to youth, beauty, fertility, and women are attracted to confidence, resourcefulness, strength. She says, I personally know women who have younger lovers, which doesn't coincide with the idea that men are always looking for younger mates, younger partners, as to speak. I made a video on different sexual strategies of men and women, and that explains also many of the things I will be covering in this video. In order to proceed with any kind of assessment of the situation between men and women, we have to keep in mind that generalization of different attributes, different qualities, and different behavioral patterns is preferred, because there's no other way to study human behavior. We humans are animals, and there are some clear patterns, even though we would like to think that we are very unique in many ways, which we are, but the nuts and bolts are the same pretty much. That's why we study psychology, that's why we study history. And that's why I think it's very important to look at evolution to gain some perspective on why we behave in certain ways. So going back to that acquaintance who has younger lovers, maybe she's very good looking. Jennifer Lopez, for example, she has done a great job to mitigate consequences of her aging, right? I mean, she's not unique in that sense, but it's more of an outlier than general occurrence, right? And the thing with this is that we have to think about that the older a woman gets, the less she tends to play because of the shrinking pool of options. So many young guys would like to prefer date older women, maybe because those dudes are not that self-aware or don't know any better. I'm not trying to sound condescending towards your acquaintance. I mean, personally, I've also been in that situation where I was much younger and dated older women. And I felt that it was much easier. I couldn't explain why. In some way, I did understand that there's less of bullshit. Young girls are much more prone to play, much more incentivized to play, because they want to explore their options, which is natural and nothing to be ashamed of. As I said, that guy may have a problem attracting younger chicks. Maybe he's a little bit awkward, but older women find that awkwardness charming in some way, maybe because of his age. I mean, same type of awkwardness won't be tolerated if it's in a man who is of the same age. I've seen that plenty of times when older women date younger guys, maybe who are a bit shy, but it's a little bit cute, but there are many more factors that are going on into these bonds than just characteristics. I mean, obviously she's not thinking about long term when she dates that dude, right? So there's a difference between dating for a short term or dating for a long term. And keep in mind that people tend to justify their own choices, whatever those choices are, and rationalize them subconsciously. It's not that they're sitting down and thinking, oh, she's dating me because I'm young, because I'm much hotter than her peers. People tend to go with the flow when those things happen. There's another good point. I also know married men whose mistresses are not young or beautiful. To that, I would like to say, if a guy consistently have options to pull younger women, he will. Make no mistake. If he can pull young chicks, objectively beautiful, model-looking girls, he will. But the saying that men are attracted to youth and beauty and fertility doesn't exclude older women. It's mutually exclusive. I would suggest to watch that video on sexual strategies of men and women. And for men, it's always about quantity. That's why semen is much more cheaper than eggs. We're ready whenever. And if we don't have any better options, we will take what comes in our way. Of course, there are different layers to that. Yet again, I'm generalizing and telling how it is. Think about porn industry. Why do you think it's so popular? It's not because, oh, we're saving ourselves for that one girl, right? It's because we are about having unlimited options. Assuming that he doesn't spend too much time chasing different kinds of prospects. He has love for everyone. But as we know, dating takes a lot of time. If he's dating someone neither young or beautiful, maybe that is the only thing that he can have access to. Don't think always that a person chooses the best option for himself or herself. There's a huge factor of convenience. So if I'm getting with someone, doesn't mean that this is the best for me, period. It only means that for the moment being, it's much more convenient to get with that person for those circumstances. So another point, I of course also know women whose partners are not financially secure. They're making it together. And to that, I would like to add that this is a complex topic, and obviously it cannot be explained in 1 or 2 videos. I explain quite in depth what I mean by that in exactly this video of sexual strategies of men and women. There are 2 options for women to go after: long-term or short-term. As you know, short-term options don't tend to last so long. And we can include bad boy phase in this section. If you date someone who is very attractive, hot, beautiful, as a woman of course, it doesn't mean that you will settle down with that person. Quite contrary. Women who settle down often do that with men who are maybe less attractive, less desirable, I would like to say, but more convenient for that time of her life. He can be hot and fun and very interesting in many ways, and you can have very great physical intimacy with that person, but at the same time that person is not as stable as maybe another dude who's very shy, open about himself and wants to settle down now, today. So you see there are different options. And the woman you are talking about, maybe they find them very, very exciting in many other ways. That's why they bear with the financial struggle. They find those men much more in tune with what they wish in a man as a character. What I'm trying to say is that a woman can be attracted to what that man can do for her, or she can desire what that man represents, what he is or what he can do for her. Big differences between those 2 categories. I know a lot of men who prefer personality over physical good looks. And as I mentioned in that video, looks are paramount for a physical desire. But if you want to stay with that same person, keep them around, then of course personality plays a lot bigger role. That's why people date multiple prospects, because all different people satisfy different needs of yourself. And you're like elaborating and trying to see what person suits you most. What person has the qualities that you look for as a package. If I'm a fit guy, I'm quite sure that there's a lot of very nice and caring overweight women out there. But I won't be dating them because I'm not attracted to them in the first place, right? I mean, there's a saying that the outside gives a chance to the inside, right? As cliche as it might sound, it's quite true. And of course there are levels to that. I would expect that many men would prefer a little bit less attractive girl but with great qualities, personal qualities, than someone who is very hot and beautiful but very spoiled. And yet again, you have to keep in mind that many people are just settling. What we choose isn't always or very seldom is something that is best option for us. It's just what is convenient for the moment being. Very few people have so much status and so many options that they can choose between perfect and very good. Oftentimes it's between okay, mediocre, that'll do. And if those people say no, they're not settling, they will be lying. Subconsciously or consciously, doesn't matter. If we exclude effort from the picture, I don't know any man who would pass over on dating some of the women who are hanging out with Dan Bilzerian. Come on, let's just be honest. And those who say they would, they're lying. Yet again, consciously or subconsciously, doesn't matter. I also know women who go crazy about handsome men. despite their ugly character. Well, they might be ugly to you, but not ugly to them. Have you thought about that? The value that man creates for that woman, regardless of the reason, looks in this case, is too high to pass over because of his character. I mean, yet again, if we go back to those points that I was bringing up before, short term, long term. Women oftentimes date those kind of dudes in their younger days when they are less experienced. So in that case, you have to think about the issue of self-esteem and self-worth. Don't always listen to what people say. Look at their actions. If a very overweight person tells me that they're very confident, I wouldn't believe them 100%, because if a person is confident, loves himself, herself, they wouldn't abuse their own body through emotional eating, because that's what it is. I know both men and women who are only attracted to money, not just women. A man staying with a woman for her money should better be damn wealthy. And let us not go to body types and ideals. There is no cookie cutter approach. I know a man who likes his woman plump. Men are more flexible. When they can't get with very hot women, in every aspect of course, they will lower standards and rationalize their choices subconsciously, which I was talking previously about. Oftentimes what they get lucky with one time, sets the standard, and they stick with it because very few are willing to improve themselves so they can attract better. So I've known those kind of guys myself. They get once with a big girl, big boned girl, and then they proceed to date same kind of girls because they don't have enough of confidence, self-esteem to improve themselves both mentally and physically to try to attract something hotter. What people tell you doesn't always coincide with their deep subconscious mind. I mean, yet again, if I'm too overweight, I could tell you I'm happy. Would you believe me? Would you really believe me? I don't think so. My best friend does not like muscular guys. She likes them slim and gentle. So yet again, where she's at in her life, looking for long term or short term. One great factor to keep in mind is that a woman's preference changes with her age. A man's preference doesn't change with age. And this is statistics, which I also covered in this same video about sexual strategies of men and women. There's a calendar of hot firefighters and there's a calendar of hot swimsuit models, and that's for a reason. And also, if you think about the fact that I was telling about men being flexible with their preferences, they can get with less hotter chicks. Whether women don't get with men who they perceive to be on lower levels of the social hierarchy. And think about it, there are plus size female models, but no plus size male models. Why is that? Another great comment. I'm sorry, but I can't identify myself or agree with this video. Why? Because I'm a straight woman and I don't care at all about how much money a man has or makes. I am attracted to looks, and of course needs to mix with an interesting mind. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and as I said before, it depends where you're at in your life. Also keep in mind it's your subjective perspective. The things that I talk about pretty much proved statistically. Males in a relationship are in average making 58% more. So something to think about. Whenever you're young and you have your own money, you have a different mind space. You have some time to be picky with looks. Yeah, right. But the older a woman gets, the more of a necessity bonding and nesting becomes. In those cases, women tend to go for a man who is more stable. So that's that. Great points overall, and I welcome this kind of discussions. Feel free to leave some comments. Check out the description box and the pinned comment for the videos that I was talking about and referring to. Yeah, Hossein out.